All right, guys, welcome back to Outside Outdoors. Today we are reviewing the Seek Outside Goshawk 4800. It is a multi-day backpack that we have used the entire season up until this point. So let's dive into it. So the Goshawk 4800 2.0 is what we're reviewing today. I've had this pack since earlier in the summer, but I've really wanted to use it throughout a good portion of the season and preseason before giving a full review on it. Um, I've taken that time to really put it through the tests and the wear that I really want to see out of it. And I think I've done that. I think I've come to a good conclusion of how I would use this pack in the future, um, how well it performs, and what I think could be improved upon uh, on top of what is already a really great pack, in my opinion. So um, let's dive in, go over some specs, and then we'll walk through kind of the things I do and don't like, some of the functionality that is really nice in the backcountry, use cases for the pack, and then we'll kind of wrap up with overall thoughts. Okay, so this pack, without any of the pouches or add-ons, this pack is at 3 pounds 8 ounces, and which is pretty comparable to a lot of other packs. I pick it up, and I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty light pack. Um, they kind of advertise the low range up to 200 pounds. I think that's pretty, um, probably pretty accurate. Like I put some 100 plus loads into it. It's been pretty comfortable. Um, It is an adjustable frame, 24 to 28 inches. The bag does fully detach from the frame, so you can make it, kind of that load shelf to really give you some good area to put meat or gear if you need the extra room for gear. Okay, so let's go through kind of how I've run through the test of this pack. So part of May, but more of like June, July, and most of August, 5 days a week, I did at least one ruck or incline walk with the pack on. And so I'm loading it down with 60 pounds, 40 to 60 pounds, just depending on how I'm feeling that day, depending on the load the day before. But that's, 5 days a week for 8 to 10 weeks. Like I've used the pack a ton, and really gotten to know like what's good and not good about how it rides. I would say it's very comfortable fit as long as you can get it correct. I think it took me about 2 weeks to really find the sweet spot with how tight I like the shoulder straps, how tight I like the waistband or the waist straps, and how tight I liked that front strap to keep the straps from going out on my shoulders. So took some breaking in, but once you get there, it's a really comfortable ride. You don't have to adjust it again. Those straps you will just leave where they are, and they end up, you know, you end up getting into a groove when you're wearing that pack. Then going into season, I had a limited entry deer hunt with my brother. I used it on, and then a backpack deer hunt that I used it on, and performed great in both situations. There's a few technical features that I feel like could be improved, and they're just preferences. I think overall it's a great pack, kind of in that mid range where if you're going, anywhere between 3 and 5 days, the way I pack, I probably could sneak out with getting about 4 days if it was really packed good. But I pack a lot of like heavier stuff. To be honest, I have a heavy tripod, stuff like that, and so I could probably get about 4 days, but I would say it's more, and if you're a really light packer, I'd say you could probably get 5 days out of it. If you're not a light packer, I'd say probably 3 days. Um, and that's kind of about my sweet spot with this pack. Being 4,800 cubic inches, that's what it's most likely going to be used for. Okay, well, now let's dive into the features of the pack. So as you can tell, the pack is essentially an aluminum frame, hip belt, almost all of like the harness stuff on it, and then a single cell, essentially roll top dry bag. So um, you have lots of adjustments of course, you have your tilt adjustment right here. All the normal buckles you would have on a pack, waist buckles. The load distribution on this is pretty good, but you also have these buckles here that if you clip, take off, and we'll clip off this one if we can get it here. Okay. And then this essentially turns into what is a load shelf for meat or any other gear that you need. So as you look at this, there are these webbing loops. It comes with extra straps if you're wanting to strap things this way or horizontal or vertically, you can do that. And then you just essentially put it back up. If it's getting pretty wide right here, you can adjust these straps and then put these back through. And then you'd have all your stuff right there. Then you can adjust how that rides based on these straps, side compression straps. You can hook this across to keep it closer in, and that's that. Moving on to other features of the backpack, they have a couple add-ons you can add. There's this front pocket, which is nice. Waterproof inside, obviously, keep things quick. I usually put my rain gear in there, or at least my rain jacket. There's a mesh pocket here on the back side. And then when you do up the pack, that kind of comes up and locks everything in from the front side. There's these two big mesh pockets on the side, so you can see, I can fit like a spotter and tripod in there without any issues. And the side compression straps kind of keep it locked in. Main compartment, like I said, is essentially like one roll top dry bag. Has the long zipper go all the way down so you can pack things easily. And then once you zip it back up, you can roll it. I won't do it super pretty, but just for sake of time, but there's that. And then you can always click these into the straps on the back side if you wanted to. I'll go over kind of the things I like. I think it's very functional. I think the minimalistic nature of it helps it save weight. Very, there's some organization to it. Obviously the lid, this bottom pocket helps you be more organized. But I think the minimal approach to it helps you be more lightweight going in places, and you can take it, further and, conserve that weight for more important things like weapons, stuff like that. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway on the bag. I think I have a couple things that I don't like that I'll go over, but the one thing I want to show you that is just, kind of a preference thing. I think everyone kind of has their preferences with backpacks and stuff and how they perform. There's not like a dedicated water bladder thing, and it's not a huge deal. They have these webbing loops, so you can kind of almost make your own spot for a bladder. I just wish there was a certain like dedicated spot. Like if you hung one here, it would have to go out of the top of the dry bag, or you could come outside the zipper, but you'd have to like zip this all the way up, and then like have it halfway out as you roll it or something like that. Like have it come out right here. So just like one thing that I think like on the text and specs could be a little bit better. So all in all, I think I'll say this again and again, like it's a great pack. You're not going to go wrong with it. I think if you want, and I think it depends on the style of hunting you do, really. If you want a pack that is, you can go in lightweight for 3 to 4 days, and you're never gonna, and you only want one pack to do it all, I would say this is it. If you don't need any like modularity, if you don't need any like, um, expedition style backpack where you're going to need a lot more space to pack stuff. You're going to be going 10 days into Alaska. You need cold weather gear. You need lots of calories, stuff like that. I think this pack is great. Um, I dare say it's probably the best mule deer backpack for high country mule deer hunts. And I'll tell you why. And I dare say that it is the single best pack for high country mule deer hunts or any sort of backpack high country deer hunt. Doesn't or I guess, and I think this pack is possibly the best mule deer backpack out on the market right now. Um, and I'll tell you why. Once I tell you the one thing I don't like about it, which makes it perfect for deer hunting. So I think the construction of it is great. I think the material and the fact of it being a dry bag just makes it a little bit noisier. And so I feel like when a lot of people are hunting elk, they are running, gunning, going with the herd, bivy style type stuff. It's a little noisy if you take it on a stalk. And so every time I went on a stalk with the backpack, I always dropped it before I went into the situation, right? Or went into the stock. I threw on. I have a stalker from Kuyu, like just a little backpack. I can carry some water and some other stuff in it. I think this specifically is not great for elk for the fact that it's like noisy as you go. And most of the time, people that are elk hunting are following the herd. They're keeping their packs on the entire time, bivy style hunting. Uh, and so I don't think this is the most effective elk backpack. Now, I think it is the single best, or in my opinion, one of the best um, mule deer backpacks is a few things. Obviously, like if you're going longer than quite a few days into like a high country mule deer hunt, you're gonna probably need a little bit more space. But if you're going 3 to 4 days high country mule deer, this pack is gonna allow you to like really get back in there and get on some stocks. And I think just for the fact of it being, super light for how much it carries, that's why I just like it. And then there is the possibility to expand it into that load shelf if you do have the chance to harvest a deer. So that's kind of my thoughts on that, and why I think it is one of the better mule deer backpacks on the market right now. So I guess in conclusion, I'm saying, I probably rate this pack anywhere between an 8.5 to 9.5. Um, I would say it's not a perfect 10 for those reasons I listed. Not having a place like a dedicated spot for a bladder just kind of makes that part complicated, and it's a little bit noisy. And so if you're looking for one backpack that does it all, like really, I probably wouldn't necessarily take this hunting for elk if I'm doing a bivy style hunt. So that's kind of my thoughts. So all in all, I think it's a great backpack. I think it performs well, rides well, it's comfortable, it's functional, everything from top to bottom. It's just a great overall pack. So go check it out. Seek Outside, made right here in the U.S. out of Grand Junction, Colorado. Shameless plug. Also, go check out their hot tents. I'll put the link below in the description of this video. But I think they have some of the best hot tents on the market. They really know how to construct those things that are almost bulletproof and really keeping that warmth for on those late hunts. So if you're in the market for a late season tent, go check those out from Seek Outside. And I'll see you guys right here next time for another review from Wildside. See ya.